Welcome to Spirit Anima with Panther. We are all here to walk each other home. What many expect and look for in new beginnings, relationships, jobs, even family, is that people are going to come in and bring only life, bring only good, positive things. Many expect that people are going to come to add to your life. The truth is, a lot of disappointment, pain, grief, confusion, and even suffering comes in when we forget that we will have at least as many people come in for a death process to teach us something that needs to end, to reflect something to us, to help us end cycles. Not everyone that comes into our life is going to come in to add and bring light. Not only will you have people come in for the death process to put things to an end, you will always meet your match. What does meeting your match mean? If you have the biggest heart and you are the deepest lover on the planet, does this mean your match is going to also love you as deeply? Or does it mean that your match is the equivalent narcissist to your love? As big of a heart as you have, sometimes your match is someone that is reflecting back to you what needs to end. Sometimes your match is your death cycle. Sometimes love doesn't look like we want it to. But the truth is, that is the greatest love of all, are the souls that come into our life to help free us from our cycles, to help show us and reflect to us, like the moon, what we cannot see. There's a saying, not everyone that hurts you is bad for you, and not everyone that helps you is your friend. Also with the Fugees, sometimes your best friend is your worst enemy and your enemy your best friend. Have you ever had a friend that you could not stand each other at first, or even a lover? You guys hated each other first and ended up being best friends, or known somebody else who was. If there is anything that I have learned, it is that oftentimes our true soulmates, our true soul family, are the ones that come into our life to teach us these lessons. And this can show up as pain and hurt. This is part of the death cycle. But death is not always a bad thing. We tend to forget, in the way that we are raised in society, that we are here to let go, to detach, to release baggage. But when we grow up in a society that wants to gain, they only want to take and add and accumulate, there is a great, deep disappointment, dishonesty. There is a lot of deception, misunderstandings, and completely preventable pain and grief. If we understood that death is a major part of our experience here on earth, and that people are here and will come into our life to help us release these things. We also live in a society that often wants to put the blame on someone else, and this is that codependency, that attachment. This is the narcissist. Anything that has an attachment is codependent energy. And many want to even blame the narcissist. But the narcissism in our society is that karma. That is our greatest lesson in our lives, is where we lack power. And that is what a narcissist teaches us. What thoughts and beliefs we are attached to. Some of us come here with pure love in our hearts. And again, you meet your match. Love does not always match with love. Sometimes your match is equal war. With all love comes war. We do not have one without the other. The heart is a muscle, and it is to be strengthened. How is it going to strengthen if you are not put under that pressure? If it is not exercised? And who is going to give you that training? In my experience with past lives and the Akash, which is much of my work here, I have learned that many times it is our true lovers that come in as our enemies, and this is not always the case, but it is very common. And many times we are born into families or end up in relationships that were in fact an enemy of the past. Not all of these experiences are karma, that we did something wrong. Sometimes we did. We are all a product of the choices of our ancestors in addition to that. But in all cases, all of the experiences that we have, they are here for our growth, for something personal to each and every one of us. These experiences and these relationships that we have are in love when it comes down to it. The narcissist will keep you in cycles until you say, I have had enough. I have learned my lesson. The person who may not be a narcissist, who maybe suddenly switches up, and you think, maybe I never did know you. The person who brings darkness and doom and gloom. Then there are those that will bring you beauty in the form of gifts, peace, security, safety. Regardless of what one brings into your life, they are playing the part necessary for that part of the cycle. Everything is a cycle, within a cycle, within a cycle. Every cycle has a beginning, and every cycle has an end. And every cycle within those cycles have a beginning and an end. When you understand the nature of our journey and of cycles, you understand not to take people's part in your life personally. The ones who are playing the part in the death process of the ending or loss or pain. The ones that came in as reflection or karma or as a narcissist. A narcissist knows no bounds. This is how they will teach you boundaries. The job for those that are here for war are to take you out. And if you take it personal, it is very easy for one to do that. This can call for a lot of deep psychological and emotional wounding. The goal and the idea is to remain neutral in both love and war. In my eyes, I find it narcissistic to believe that we would think that a narcissist should change or be any different than what they are. Everyone here is playing their part. We do not get to decide what another person's part is. Darkness wins when you hold fear in your heart. Much of my work is of the heart. And many fear love because they are afraid of pain. People fear pain. They fear death. They fear change. And if anything is going to stop life, it is fear of death. There are no beginnings without endings. Pain is actually part of the purification process. Pain is a sign of healing. And I am not talking about intentionally inflicted pain as in abuse. Okay? What pain does is bring attention to the wound. What happens when we do not properly close out cycles? You may sometimes wonder, why am I still in this? The level of consciousness that we exit a cycle is the same level of consciousness that we enter the next one. If you exit a relationship cycle, a lesson of a cycle with resentment in your heart, any cycle, this can be a life cycle. If you end this cycle with resentment in your heart, for example, you will have that same experience, or one that will maybe make you feel resentful in the next cycle until you learn how to release it, which means someone is going to come into your life to teach you that lesson. We do not want to close cycles prematurely, just as we do not want to enter new ones prematurely. When a baby is growing in the womb, there is a process to growth. And the same goes when someone is passing naturally and organically. There is a process in the way that the organs and the functions of the body shut down. Everything is a process. We do not want to cut it short or jump into the next one before we're ready. If you win the lottery and you are not lottery worthy energetically, you will lose it. With the ending process, the closing process, this is also why I do not necessarily go for being able to choose to end your life early, because we evolve in that pain. Sometimes babies are born and do not make it very long, for example. This too is so their soul can experience that process. But any encounter we have, any experience we have, it is never one way. It is never only one person receiving a lesson. We are always a match to what it is we are experiencing. And we are all teachers to one another. We truly are all here to walk each other home. Oftentimes, those that have experienced the most severe of pain and abuse are the first to forgive. And this is because they know the pain is too great to bear, to hold on to. The baggage and the walls block us from being fertile into the next cycle, from having a healthy birth into what we are creating in love, in our relationships, in business, our art, attachments to people, to resentment, to believing that they should be different than what they are. Attachment of any form is draining the life force. Fear. These all sever the connection to God, our life force. And much of this is pertaining to the mother wound. This has been deeply severed in all of humanity. And narcissistic abuse is the cause of much of that. Do not get me wrong in any of this that I am condoning by any means any type of abuse. We cannot control the actions of others. We can only learn and share our message with others and help others walk through their path. The oil of the mother I have created very much codes to the wounds of the mother, the heart, and the sacral especially. This is our connection to God. This is our fertility and our passion, our ability to create, our love in God, in truth, our freedom to express our truth authentically. An imbalance of these energies can result in resentment, pain, depression, hormonal imbalances, insecurity, jealousy, lack of creativity or ability to produce. This is our magnetism, our sensuality. This is our blueprint that is projected from our heart. And ultimately, the only thing that can take us from not closing out a cycle properly to being in a state of lack and depression, the only thing that can take us from carrying baggage to releasing that baggage is our ability not only to accept, but to forgive. Acceptance is the key. Forgiveness is the bridge that takes us from not understanding and not properly closing out a cycle to moving forward baggage free into the next. Attachments to beliefs that anything should be different than what it is, to a person, to an idea, to a different outcome. is what keeps us bound and fear. The movie Kill Bill I resonate with highly, especially Kill Bill 2. Plus the desert, the temple, Pai Mei, the training, being buried alive, and having to dig myself out of a deeply, deeply wounded grave. The deepest wound I had ever felt was not the pain from an abuser. It was pure love. It was a wound that was brought out by someone who never, ever did anything or said anything harmful to me. This was the only person that I had ever considered using the 5-point palm exploding heart technique on. True love can really appear as evil sometimes. Imagine how others feel when your light is shed on them. Sometimes pure love can hurt because it is shining light on the wounds. And this is why so many mistake truth for untruth. Sometimes we are shown what true love is not. So when it does come along, we know exactly what it is and will never take it for granted.